Cottage Grove Planning Commission regular meeting for June 28th, 2021, which begins at 7 p.m. Commissioner Rasmussen, if you could do roll call.
Sure. Commissioner Bigham,
Here.
Commissioner Fisher,
Here.
Commissioner Fraser, Commissioner Chair Kambata,
Here.
Commissioner Knable, Commissioner Rasmussen here, Commissioner Wright. Our three missing panel members excused tonight? Yes.
Okay, so we have 4 of 7 panel members are here. That constitutes a quorum to continue with our meeting. Next on the agenda will be approval of the agenda. At this time, if there are no objections, I would look for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve from Commissioner Bigham,
Second, Commissioner
Sec-
Fisher.
second from Commissioner Fisher. All those in favor signify by saying, I'm sorry. Yes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Moving on. Item 4 on our agenda is open forum. At this time, if anyone attending the meeting would like to discuss a topic that is not already on tonight's agenda, please approach the podium and state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, we will move on. Item number 5, Chair's explanation of the hearing process. The Planning Commission is a volunteer advisory group to the City Council. One of the Commission's functions is to hold public hearings and make recommendations on land use and zoning matters. The purpose of these public hearings is to provide an opportunity for each applicant and citizens to present information, ask questions, and express opinions. Since these proceedings are televised and recorded for the public record, anyone wishing to speak must step up to the podium and give their name and address before addressing the Commission. Staff reports are prepared and provided to the applicant and Planning Commission in advance of the meeting. The first step in the hearing will be for staff to present a summary of the report. The applicant will then have the opportunity to briefly explain the proposal and provide additional information or comment. Anyone wanting to speak in favor or against against the proposal will then be heard. Upon completion of the testimony, the hearing will be closed to the public comment. The Planning Commission will then discuss and act on the matter. Two complete agenda packets are available for viewing on the back table. Please do not remove these items. The City Council will act on these items at their meeting on Wednesday, July 21st, 2021, which starts at 7 p.m. Item 6, applications. We'll start with 6.1, addition at 8401 River Acres Road, case V2021-046, with Emily Schmitz presenting.
Hi, good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, light this evening. But neither here nor there, the first item before you is an application by Titan Ventures Properties. It is a variance for a reduced setback. The location is 8401 River Acres Road, just at the very east end of the road, essentially the dead end. It is a wooded site. It is in the R4 zoning district, so low density zoning district down there. It is also within the Mississippi River, I knew I was going to do that, Mississippi River Corridor Critical Area, or the MRCA as I'll refer to it, as well as all the other properties along the river on that south edge of the community. A little bit of background, so there is a house and a detached garage on the site. The house did burn down somewhere around 1983 and was reconstructed in 1984. When the house was reconstructed at that time, it was required to be constructed at the 700-foot elevation, which is a standard requirement then and is now in our current standards for new structures within that MRCA overlay district. The property was for sale and has currently been purchased, and plans for renovations of the home are in place, as you can see. So again, the request is a variance to construct an addition to the existing home just off the east end there. It's about 16 feet off of the home. The plan is for that space to be a bedroom. Now, the existing house and the addition will remain at 65 feet setback from the ordinary or normal high water level. Per our current MRCA standards, a 100-foot setback is required for existing, or additions to existing structures or new structures as they're constructed within that MRCA. In this particular instance, our 2040 comprehensive plan does require that the city adopt the DNR's drafted new MRCA ordinance. So we are in the process of adopting that ordinance, and as a part of that, the minimum standards within this river neighborhood are additions can be added to existing structures as long as they do not come closer to the river or towards the water. In this particular instance, the plan is of course to maintain that 65 feet, but given we have not officially adopted that new ordinance yet, we wanted to make this official with a variance request. So with that being said, I will leave the recommendation before you. I know Jason with Titan Ventures is here to answer any additional questions you might have as well.
Thank you. If the applicant has anything that they would like to add? Okay. All right. Well then, if there's nothing further to add at this time, I would turn it over to the commission. Does the commission have any questions for staff or for the applicant?
I think it's pretty straightforward. It sounds like our new ordinance is we're going to adopt what this would comply. Reading through the planning report and all the considerations, it doesn't seem like there's any issues that I can identify.
Thank you. This is at exactly 700 feet above sea level currently, or do you know what the current elevation is for the building, for the principal structure?
I believe, yes, Mr. Chair, the existing principal structure was constructed at that 700-foot elevation, which is 2 feet over the normal ordinary high water level of 688.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. At this time, I'll open public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak for or against the application may do so. Seeing none, we will close public hearing. There's nobody online or trying to pop in.
Mr. Chair, we are no longer doing virtual meetings, so no.
Wanted to make sure there's no one else going to chime in on us. Okay, well, again, seems pretty straightforward. Follow-up questions or comment? Guess at this time I'd look for a motion.
Motion to approve, subject to the conditions stipulated in the staff report.
I have a motion to approve, subject to the stipulations stated in the staff report from Commissioner Fisher. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Bigham. Further conversation? I'm actually happy that we're adopting that standard. I think, having dealt with several property owners in that neighborhood, I know that the current overlays were a little difficult to navigate for people wanting to do these types of updates to their homes. So I'm happy to see that this is making that process a little easier for them. Well, with that, I'll move it to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries 4-0. On to item 6.2, Rolling Meadows, cases ZA 2021-047 and PP 2021-048, with Mike Marosla presenting.
There we go. All right, thank you, Chair and Commissioners. This item in front of us tonight is Rolling Meadows, application submitted by KLC of Wilmer, Inc. They're requesting preliminary plat and zoning amendment. The preliminary plat is to consist of 41 units, or 41 residential lots, and the rezoning is to change the current zoning from AG1, agricultural preserve, or preservation, excuse me, to R3, single-family residential for planned unit development. The subject property is located just south of the Woodbury border and to the east of Parkview Point development, and consists of 17.6 acres It is currently tilled field with no structures or trees on the property. It's also worth noting that the property is surrounded on 3 sides by the South Washington Watershed District, as you can see on the image on the right. And we'll talk a little bit more about how this proposal plays into the South Washington Watershed District's future plans in the area. As previously mentioned, the applicant's requesting to rezone the property from AG1 or agricultural preservation to R3 single-family residential with a planned unit development. This is consistent with the surrounding properties as shown on the left map on the left side of the screen for Northwick and Parkview Point, and also consistent with the comprehensive plan. The 2040 comprehensive plan guides the space as low density with a density of 2 to 4 units per acre. The applicant is proposing 2.33 units per acre at this application. The preliminary plat is 41 single-family lots. There will be no HOA. It is worth noting, because of no HOA, this island here within this little eyebrow will be removed since there's no HOA to maintain it. So on the final plan set, there will no longer be an island there, excuse me. Right now, the applicant is working with 2 or 3 builders, custom home builders. The price range is anticipated to be about $700,000 per house. The applicant is requesting some flexibility from some of the zoning standards, which is similar to the approvals for Parkview Point and Northwick. Applicant's requesting a minimum lot area of 9,142 square feet, where the R3 zoning ordinance requires 10,000 square foot. However, it's worth noting that the average lot area within the development is about 11,000 square feet plus. So there's only one lot that drops it down, a few lots that drops it below the 10,000 threshold. The minimum lot width is 75 feet in the R3. The applicant's proposing 70. This is a larger lot width than surrounding developments. The applicant's also requesting a minimum side yard house setback and garage setback for a total of 15 feet when you can add both sides up. Also requesting a minimum front yard setback of 25 feet instead of the ordinance required 30 feet. Access to the proposed site is off of 63rd Street from the Parkview Point subdivision. And there is a sidewalk proposed on the west side of the street that will connect to the existing Parkview Point sidewalk system. And then there is numerous trail opportunities we'll get into here. There's an existing trail that comes up through Parkview Point that is stubbed currently till right here. The applicant is proposing an 8-foot wide bituminous trail that'll go up and around the perimeter of the subdivision adjacent to the South Washington County Watershed District's property. That's an 8-foot wide trail. And then there'll be a temporary trail access that'll be stubbed down. The final location of that trail access will depend on when this development to the west, or this parcel to the west develops. Then this cul-de-sac right here that's shown, that's right there, will actually be moved to right here. So there'll be a temporary cul-de-sac on that property and a temporary trail access. As I just mentioned, there is that 8-foot wide regional trail section. That regional trail section comes up from the Parkview Point development around this property and then goes up into Woodbury as part of the Glacier Valley interpretive area. There is also going to be trail connections into the Glacial Valley interpretive area, which is South Washington Watershed's proposed stormwater education area. There will be a soft trail connection here or a natural trail connection here. These walking trails are highlighted in the blue in the image here. They're natural trails that the watershed will be constructing here in the near future. There will also be a future trail connection down to the south that will connect to a future city park, community park there, and to the trails along Ravine Parkway. It's worth noting that the proposed trails on this map or as part of this project are consistent with the 2040 comprehensive plan. As previously stated, there is no trees on site, so there's no tree mitigation required. The applicant is proposing 41 boulevard trees, and their landscaping plan shows the required 4 trees per lot, or a total of 208 total trees. The stormwater and ponding for this project consists of 3 ponds located on outlot A and B. Outlot A has access from 63rd Street, so if we ever had to go back and there to perform maintenance on either of the ponds, they can get access off of 63rd Street. Outlot B is another pond. This pond is oversized. The applicant is working with us on that. So the city can offer banking for projects that can't accompany stormwater on site or can't handle the amount of stormwater site. They can pay us in lieu for ponding off-site then, and we're gonna utilize this site here for a little additional stormwater banking. So the stormwater pond is oversized. Access to the Outlot B is from the existing and proposed trail from Parkview Point. The neighborhood meeting was held on June 18th with 4 residents in attendance. No concerns were raised. Most of the questions were about timing and what the product's gonna look like. And then as part of tonight's application, there will be a public hearing. The notice was published in the Pioneer Press on June 16th, 2021, and staff has received no comments. There's 2 items tonight for approval. There is the zoning amendment and then the preliminary plat. And the applicant is on hand for any questions.
Thank you, sir. If the applicant would like to add anything to that application, they may do so.
Very complete.
All right. Questions from the commission? Commissioner Rasmussen?
Real quickly, Outlot A and B would be maintained by the city, correct?
That's correct. They will be dedicated to the city.
All right.
Commissioners Bingham and Fisher.
And it's
You can
also
talk.
worth noting, commissioners, too, there is an additional outlot on here, Outlot C, which contains the trail corridor around the property. That will also be dedicated to the city. That will be Outlot C. I apologize, I should address that as we're going over the trails. So that will be also dedicated as parkland dedication.
Can you elaborate on the area of Outlot A that is designated infiltration?
Yes, I'll actually have the applicant speak to that.
Good evening, Corey Meyer with Westwood Professional Services.
Pleasure. I'm just curious with the way Outlot A is laid out, what purpose does the infiltration area of that outlot serve for stormwater mitigation?
Yeah, so the infiltration is to reduce our overall volume of stormwater. So how that effectively works is the stormwater runs off into the pipe, feeds into the ponding, and then it hits a certain elevation and it backs up into the infiltration area. And then that water is allowed to percolate into the soil.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Additional questions from the commission?
Yeah, I have a question.
ahead.
You talked about the minimum lot area. You just said a handful of the lots were under the 10,000 square foot requirement. How many is a handful?
I believe, I think there's only 2 or 3 that are under that threshold. The rest of them are above the 10,000 square feet.
And then you had also mentioned too, before my time here, there must have been approvals for similar PUDs that had these different variances or these changes in the minimums or the maximums.
That is correct. The development directly to the west, Parkview Point, has very similar requirements, and then Northwick as well has very similar too. And plus, other developments within the community have utilized the PUD for relaxed standards in pretty much all these categories as well. The nice part about the 7.5 setback is that it still totals 15, and that's the intent of the ordinance, is to have 15 feet, one side 5, one side 10. So it's more of a balance and an average out there.
Sure. Thank you.
Yep.
I had a follow-up question regarding the setbacks. The 10-foot and, exceeding the 7.5 is great, but as far as fire prevention on the garage side, are there any additional building standards that need to be met when you go from 7.5 to 5 feet? And have those standards been met?
Yes, Chair, there is different, if you go down to 5 feet, there is different building techniques you have to do. It has to be fire rated when they're at the 5 feet setback. I believe it's not the garages, it has to be the dwellings that are 5 feet apart. So the garages can be, but the dwelling units, if they're 5 feet, there is different standards for that. So, in this case here, there'll be 15 feet between the garages and the houses.
Okay. And then my last question was, in regard to the minimum front yard setback. Are all of the properties going to be at that 25-foot mark, or is that a similar scenario where there's going to be several properties that fall within less than that, the standard 30-foot setback?
Chair, all the properties will be at 25 feet for consistency, which is the same as the Parkview Point development
Okay,
to the west.
those are all my questions.
I have
Good.
one question. Just out of curiosity, you had mentioned at the beginning that there would be no HOA, so that little island would be removed. Can I ask why, was it originally going to have an HOA and then that was changed? And was there a specific reason why that was changed?
Yes, that's a great question. Actually, staff recommended the removal of the island since there was no HOA, because then there's no one to maintain it. There's a couple options you could do where you could require the residents or the lots adjacent to it to maintain it, and we just don't like that policy. So it's just easier to remove it and then reshape that to make more of a, reshape that eyebrow to accommodate the removal of the island.
Commissioner Rasmussen?
Just looking here at like access for the construction period, especially heavy grading and stuff, it looks like everything's gonna be coming through 63rd Street. Is there any other access for the construction timeline, or has there been any concerns from the residents?
There has been no concerns. We have not received any comments from the residents. And the property is unique as previously stated, that the property to the east of here is the South Washington Watershed District property, and you cannot grade on that property, and you can't do anything on there. So it's been like, conservation easement. So yes, the vehicles will have to come up 63rd and through that subdivision, unfortunately. However, we do have conditions of approval that require parking to be on one side of the street so people can access it. Right now, the applicants are anticipating about a month of grading on the site to get there. And then by then, we'll be going through the final plat process and streets later this fall. But unfortunately, but at the neighborhood meeting, no one brought up that concern, but we do watch that as a staff to make sure that they go out there and they clean up the road, make sure they're not leaving debris on the roadway afterwards.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, I think we'll move on to public hearing. At this time, anyone wishing to speak for or against the application may step to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, we will close public hearing. Further comment from the commission? I see, can you pull up that map again? Was that Jensen Avenue? That's the main ingress, or, yeah, Jensen Avenue there. So whenever that parcel to the to the west is developed, that same scenario is gonna occur where that's gonna be their primary access point for development. Is there any concern from the city or from, Public Works regarding premature wear and tear on that road and how that eventual cost will be assessed?
Yes, Chair, that is a good question. We do collect security to make sure that there's no damage to the roadway, and if it does occur, that the developer or builder does correct that. So we do collect that security just in case it does happen. And Jensen will be the primary access up into that development. The connection points will be from 63rd. So Jensen will be the primary roadway into the future development. And then, oops, apologize. So Jensen will go up into the development, 63rd will probably terminate somewhere in here, and then there'll be another road coming in like that or something in those kind of ways. We would imagine that the stormwater ponding here would be expanded to handle the stormwater from this development when it does develop, but Jensen would be the primary access point.
All right, thank you. Further questions or comments from the commission? At this time, I would look for a motion.
Motion to approve the zoning amendment and preliminary plat, subject to the conditions in the staff report.
Okay, we have a motion to approve from Commissioner Rasmussen for the zoning amendment and preliminary plat, subject to the conditions stated in the staff report. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Commissioner Fisher. Further conversation? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries 4-0. On to item 7, approval of planning commission minutes from May 24th, 2021. Thank you to all those in attendance. If there are no items that need to be addressed or changed, I would look for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the planning commission minutes for May 24th, 2021.
I have a motion to approve from Commissioner Rasmussen. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Bigham. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 4-0. On to item 8, reports, starting with 8.1, recap of June 2021 city council meetings with Ben Boyke presenting.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So for the June 2nd council meeting, there were no items on the agenda that the Planning Commission had reviewed. And then moving on to June 16th, the XL Energy Regulator Station down at the Youth Service Bureau in West Point Douglas, that CUP was approved by council. In addition, the North Star Sheets expansion, which was the site plan and plat down in the industrial park, was approved by council. And finally, the site plan for Pine Harbor Church down on Highway 61 was approved by council. So with that, I'll turn it to Councilmember Dennis for his updates.
All right, thank you, Director Boyk, and good evening, everybody. You'll notice I'm wearing my beautiful yellow shirt today, my Beyond the Yellow Ribbon of Cottage Grove shirt, because today I attended the Chamber of Commerce Golf Classic fundraiser down at River Oaks. And it was a wonderful day and a wonderful time to get out, and our staff did a great job down there. Everything was amazing until the rain came in. But luckily, we shut things down, pulled our tents, and got inside by the time that hit. So for those of you who might not be aware of Beyond the Yellow Ribbon, it is an amazing organization of people. It's a small organization here locally, and I bring it up small because we're always looking for those who might have an interest in serving and being part of something greater. This is a group that works to fulfill service requests and other opportunities on behalf of our service members, their families, veterans, etc. And it's just a very humble and very fulfilling organization to be part of. So I'd just like to mention that here tonight very quickly. And then I will also open myself up, as I normally do, to any questions that you may have. Director Boyk covered very eloquently in about 10 seconds of time what was about a 3.5-hour council meeting that we had on the last one. So I'm sure some of you may have been watching. If there's any questions you have at all on any of those items that we worked on, I'm here to answer those honestly and transparently.
Thank you. I'd like to thank you for your dedication. I know when those meetings run long, it gets a little hard to stay on point and stay focused. So thanks for doing the hard work. I don't think we haven't.
Mr. Rasmussen.
Fireworks, do we get to see fireworks this?
We do get to see fireworks. In fact, July 4th, they'll be over at Kingston Park, and the Cottage Grove Lions Club is going to be managing that process for us, as they do virtually every year, except for last year because of COVID. So it's going to be a really nice opportunity to get our community back together. There were a number of large-scale organizations. I don't know all of them off the top of my head, but I know 3M, I think Renewal by Anderson, Hy-Vee, and there was maybe one additional one, I don't know if you can recall. But very, very generous donations to help fund that. The show itself should go probably for 20 to 24 minutes is my guess, so it's not a inexpensive process to put on. But it will be a very, very nice show, as it always is. And we're looking forward to getting people to come out and partake of that. And then I think the Lions are going to be selling some beverages and some food items down there as well. So it should be a really nice time.
It's fantastic news.
Yeah, it's good, just like it is here, to get everybody back together,
Yeah.
so.
Have
But,
it getting
but as I
fireworks
always
show.
do, and I appreciate your kind words for the council, and we very much appreciate our volunteers. And I probably say it more than I should, but it's very genuine. And what we seek to do is try to create a winning opportunity here for everybody on behalf of our community. So thank you again for your service.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to item 8.2, response to planning commission inquiries. There were none from our last meeting, so that takes us to 8.3, planning commission requests. Are there any requests or inquiries for council or staff?
I guess I'm just generally curious on the Ravine Parkway, and as we see more and more development up in that neighborhood, is there any plans, or what's the next stage to continue that parkway and even possibly that park that is just to the south of this new development tonight?
Okay, that's Commissioner Rasmussen, that's a great question. And like many other things, there's bits and pieces of this that you work on as you go through time. And so as far as the Ravine Parkway, what we're waiting for is a couple parcels of land to sell so that we can get into a point of developing out and fulfilling the remainder of that piece of the Ravine Parkway. Eventually, into the future, once development enters onto the east side of County Road 19, you'll see that continue east and then swing south and eventually connect right out here, just north of our Hero Center. So I don't know what the time frame on that would be. I think the western parcels are going to come much quicker, and I know there is a substantial amount of work that's going in on behalf of those property owners to link up with different developers so that those deals can get done. And it's all logical and sequential as far as it goes, and so we've continued to work on that. And then one of the things that you may have been hearing about is Cedarhurst development. And so right now, the 360 group who is looking to purchase that property, they've done a substantial amount of community outreach, actually sending out over 7,000 postcards, reaching out to folks seeking input and information. They also held at least one open house for folks to come in and talk. But like anything else, respectfully, when there's a development coming in, especially by people that have invested in homes, there are going to be some concerns that folks have on that. So I will say one of the things that I have done is I went out and met with a couple friends of mine who live right over there in that area, who are very, very highly connected with a number of the residents in that neighborhood. And I've also had a bunch of contact with other people here that have either called me or come in to visit me or reached out by email. So there's a lot of dialogue right now. Things are in the real preliminary formative stage, and it's like anything else. It's like a negotiation. So when you decide to bring something forward, you usually ask for everything, right? Knowing you're not going to get everything, but it's a starting point of working down to something that is workable. So I do believe that that through some good negotiation, a little give and a little take, and maintaining some respect for that particular site because it's a very historic site here in the city, that we can come up with something I think that'll be workable. Again, you don't make everybody happy, but I think we can make more people happy than not. And the council and our staff is dedicated to ensuring that we're going to try to do the very best thing we can here on behalf of our community. One thing I will mention is that I'm in the basis right now of working on a council update video that I will be partnering with Corey Land, who is a city attorney. And this will be a very useful thing for us and timely because as I may have had conversations individually with some of you, this will cover some of the nuts and bolts pieces relative to helping people understand what a city can and can't do relative to involving itself into a free market process of a sale between a willing seller and a willing buyer. So we have our codes, and we have building standards, and we have types of materials that we request, and all kinds of other things that we have on our city books. But through all of that, I think the benefit of providing information to people and teaching people, that empowering thing that you give when you understand. So that's what this is going to be designed to do, and we're not rushing this project out. We're taking our time to think about it, and I think we'll probably go to production after the week of the 4th of July. But we want to make sure that we cover this and do it in a very, very good way that hopefully makes sense to folks. And we're going to also have this be available so that, any of us, whether it be through this process here or members of our council or staff, if we see people have questions out and about, maybe we can take that link and take that in so people can see that and really help folks to understand. Because, we're all vested in this. This place is all of our homes. And we want to do what's right, not only by our residents, but also investors that would look to come here and spend money and help to elevate the standard of our community. So that's something we'll be working on and look forward to that soon, so.
Absolutely. I look forward to watching that one. You guys, they always seem to put together some pretty good productions. So,
Yeah, we appreciate SWCTC for the help on that too, so.
thank you for that update. Further questions or comment from the commission? With that, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
For motion to adjourn from Commissioner Fisher, do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Bigham. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for your time.